Hello and welcome back to Smith History, separating the Smith from the myth. I'm your host, Brian Smith, and today we're traveling back more than a half a century, 54 years to be exact, to Christmas Day 1971. Now, if you've listened to this podcast before, you know that Smith History isn't just about the events. It's about the Smith moments that got tangled up with them. In this story, well, it's a tale of both Christmas morning joy and Christmas night punishment. Let me set the stage. We were living in a small, quaint town, Sandusky, Ohio. Our house was at 218 South 8th Street. It was our home from 1969 through some of the most memorable years of my childhood. It's the house I still think about with real fondness, even 54 years later. That house held the soundtrack of my youth. I remember watching the classic 1969 World Series when we first moved into the house. Then the crack of bats and cheers when we won a Little League championship in 1970. I remember the tension coming from Apollo 13, the Beatles breaking up, Kent State. I followed the rise of the Big Red Machine in Cincinnati, and I remember vividly watching the very first Monday Night Football game with my dad and my Uncle Dale. It was also in that house in 1971 when our brother Kyle arrived, because apparently my parents thought that 4 boys weren't enough. But let's get to Christmas morning 1971. I remember there had been a light snow outside. Inside, our mother had set up the most retro tree you could ever imagine. Bubble lights, tin glitter, ceramic bulbs glowing softly in the living room, lights that probably doubled as a fire hazard. The gifts were wrapped with care and placed under the tree late on Christmas Eve, as she always did. And I remember exactly what I got that year: Chinese checkers, transistor radio, and a hockey table game with levers that Jeff and I would wear out in record time. My brothers and I had cream-filled chocolate Christmas bells stuffed in our stockings. And the food? That was Mom's true Christmas magic. Christmas tradition was always important to my mother. We had a giant turkey. But Christmas tradition also included the turkey being half eaten by my dad the night before. She also prepared ham, homemade pumpkin pie, pecan pie, all the traditions that were passed down from her Butterman side of the family. For a Smith kid, that morning was glorious. But Christmas in the Smith household also had another tradition: unpredictability. My mother's moods could change as fast as the Ohio weather. Laughter could turn to tears, joy to anger, and somewhere in between, Jeff and I did something that day to land ourselves in deep trouble. What was it? 54 years later, I couldn't tell you. Were we fighting? Laughing too loud? Cheering too loud for the game that day? Whatever it was, it ended with a sentence no kid had ever imagined on Christmas Day. You guys are taking the laundry to the laundromat. Yes, punishment by laundry on Christmas night. The morning that had begun with Christmas magic changed when the mood shifted. Christmas cheer had turned into Christmas fear in a matter of minutes. Our mother had a way of going from joy to the world to the wrath of Khan faster than you could say Silent Night. And somehow the details are forever lost to history. Jeff and I did something to flip that switch. Maybe we just looked like we were enjoying ourselves too much, but whatever it was, Mom sentenced us to the ultimate holiday punishment. being forced to spin cycles on the holiest of holidays. While the rest of America was glued to their television sets watching one of the greatest NFL playoff games ever played, the Miami Dolphins versus the Kansas City Chiefs, Jeff and I were hauling baskets of dirty clothes across the icy alley to the laundromat right behind our house. But let me pause here to give that game its due. December 25th, 1971, Miami Dolphins at the Kansas City Chiefs. Two classic coaches, Don Shula and Hank Stram. Two classic teams. And I remember because we were able to watch the first half of that game before we had to go and do the laundry. Ed Podolak was having the game of his life. He ended up with 350 all-purpose yards running, receiving, returning. Len Dawson, the quarterback. Jan Stenerud was kicking and missing field goals for Kansas City. The game was a heavyweight fight that just wouldn't end, quarter after quarter, kick after kick. But back to me and Jeff now. We had never, ever done laundry before. We were terrified of messing it up and facing Mom's wrath again. But as the sun was setting that day, I remember it vividly. Here we were in the freezing cold taking dirty clothes to the laundry. While the rest of America was glued to their television sets watching the second half of an NFL playoff classic, Jeff and I were fumbling with quarters, detergent, and washing machines at the laundromat behind our house. And as the second half of the game started, where were we? We were separating the white clothes from the dark clothes on Christmas night. I remember it vividly, thinking we had missed out on the second half of the game forever. Now here's the twist. The game went on forever. 2 overtimes, 82 minutes and 40 seconds. It ended up being the longest game in NFL history. So when Jeff and I finally dragged those baskets of clean clothes back across the icy alley, we thought we'd missed everything. We discovered the game was still on. We actually got to see the dramatic ending. Garo Yepremian kicks the winning field goal, sending the Dolphins forward and breaking Kansas City's hearts. So in a bizarre way, Mom's punishment was timed perfectly. We missed most of the second half of the game, but still caught the end of the longest game ever played. Only in Smith history does laundry on Christmas night actually sync up with the NFL record book. Years later, I walk back into that same laundromat. It's still there. It's still operational. The machine's still humming. Still stubbornly alive. When I went back, suddenly I was 14 again, thinking back to that Christmas night, 1971, lugging baskets with Jeff, terrified of shrinking my dad's socks and underwear. Snow falling outside, the faint glow of Christmas fading into the hum of dryers. And you know, that memory isn't bitter anymore. It's warm and fuzzy, just like my dad's socks. It's Smith history. The house at 218 South 8th Street, it's also still standing. If only those walls could talk. They tell stories of bubble lights, pies cooling on the counter, 5 brothers wrestling and fighting. And yes, the year the holidays ended at the laundromat on Christmas night. Christmas Day 1971 will always be both Christmas morning and Christmas in mourning. Sometimes Christmas gives you magic, sometimes it gives you pie, and sometimes it gives you laundry. Thank you for listening to another episode of Smith History, where we separate the Smith from the myth. And sometimes we separate the white clothes from the dark clothes. The memories sparkle, sometimes they sting, but all of them remind us who we are and how we got here. My name is Brian Smith, and we are history. Thank you for listening.
Out of 5, Dolphins from our 35-yard line. 10 minutes, 30 seconds to go. Rose looks to the far side, Warfield to the near side. Second down and 5, Dolphins from our 35. There's a handoff, block, a draw, big hole, 40, 45, 50, 45, down to the 40, down to the 36. And the field goal unit come on. The ball is right directly in the center of the playing field. We got no gain on it. They put it down at the 30-yard line. This will be an approximate 30 Dolphins. Waiting for the snap. Somebody jumps the feet, gets back. Here's the snap, set down. The kick is up. He's got the distance. It's good! The Dolphins win! The Dolphins win! The Premier 37 yards, and the Dolphins are in the AFC Championship game as the little guy boots one in from 37 yards out, and the Dolphins win the ball game 27-24. What a finish! 7 minutes, 20 seconds left to go in the second sudden death overtime.